The second paper talked about terrorism and the challenges of Boko Haram and all that. I don't want to spend too much time going over the problems of Nigeria. I would rather want to ask us, as Nigerians who are here gathered, what is it that we can do to help to make our country better and change the direction of our country? I believe that what we are celebrating today in Nigeria is not democracy as such, but we are celebrating years of constitutional rule. We are celebrating years of freedom, but we cannot yet say that we are celebrating democracy in what we actually practice in this country. So what can we as ordinary Nigerians do? We have talked about the failings of the leadership. We have talked about the challenges of our country. What can we as Nigerians do to make our country better? I think that the thing that is responsible for most of the challenges in our country, lawlessness, impunity, corruption, and all that, is the fact that our leaders are not afraid of the people. It is the people who are afraid of the leaders. If we are able to use our vote in such a manner that the leaders know that those who do not perform up to the expectation of the people will not have a job, I think that how we relate to the job will change from top to bottom. And that is the first thing that we need to do. I want to say that in a country, if the performance of the leader does not relate to his job security, no leader will perform. And I want to use Rivers State as an example. If Rivers people did not stand by our leader, by our governor, today we will not be able to gather here. But because of his performance, Rivers people stood by him when he was challenged by the authorities. And I think that that will help other politicians to also perform, believing that if they perform, their people will stand by them. But if the people cannot stand by the politicians who try to do the right thing, then no politician is going to make the effort. And we can talk from here till next year. But without the power of the people, our democracy will not work. Let me use this opportunity to also say something about the issue of the remuneration of members of the National Assembly. I have been here, everybody had talked about how much senators earn and how much senators do not earn. And looking around, apart from my brother, Senator Mamora, I cannot see any other person who can talk about what senators earn and what they do not earn. But what I will ask us as a country is that how come all the time we focus on the issue of the excesses of politicians? We talk about the legislature. What percentage of our national income goes to funding and sustaining the legislature? A senator earns money. No senator earns 5 million naira. But ministers in this country who are appointed servants of the people, of the president, fly a jet everywhere they go. And the Nigerian people will never ask, where are they getting money from to pay for that kind of expensive transportation everywhere they go to? Where are they getting the money from? A minister, every city he visits, will have a convoy of at least 10 vehicles waiting to carry him around, funded by the Nigerian state. Nobody is asking. But everywhere legislators appear, we are asked how much we earn. That is not the main. Anyway, I just think that if we want to talk about the excesses of our leaders, let us put everybody in the same bucket and discuss everybody on an equal scale. Having said that, I want to point out that all the things we lack in this country, if we want to fight corruption in Nigeria, we must fight corruption at the ballot box. Because the foundation of every act of impunity and corruption in this country starts with what happens in an election. If the people decide that they and they alone will decide who rules them, then anybody who rules and does not rule according to the expectations of the people will be changed and punished at the ballot box. I think if we do that, this country will well be on its way to redemption. Finally, in the last paper, the speaker talked about the fact that despite the security challenges we are having, Nigeria is not yet like Pakistan, Afghanistan, Iran, and all that. I am very concerned. The fact that an international expert will discuss us in the same breath as Pakistan, Afghanistan, and Iran and all that may be a consolation that we are not yet there, but it is clearly a pointer that we are on our way to that destination, except we change our direction. It is a responsibility of all of us, like my colleague has pointed out, to make security our business. But it is a primary responsibility of the government and the security agencies to enforce the law. If our laws are enforced evenly across board, I don't think that the issue of security would have grown into the monster that it is now in this country. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much, distinguished Senator. After that intervention, we would like to move over to Major General Rowley for another perspective on the discussion.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. I want to thank you most sincerely for the honor and privilege of inviting me all the way from Lagos to come and be part of this important event. I also join millions of other well-wishers to wish you a joyous happy birthday. As a citizen that grew, lived, served under military regime and under a democratic system, I am one that will say that democracy, regardless of its inadequacies, is still the best. I'll never, for one, in spite of the challenges that we're going through, think of military as the next best alternative. Anybody that thinks or ponders about that is only indulging self-deceit. When we look at the democracies all over the world, let's point out which one has not had its own dose of challenges, the borders on internal insecurities, threats from external securities, and all whatnot. Globally, Nigeria is of strategic interest. The insecurity in Nigeria is of strategic interest, as the professor mentioned earlier. Because we are the most populous country in Africa, and as Ambassador Westwell mentioned, because we have a large endowment of very vibrant youth with good potential. And if we take what the government told us a few weeks ago, that we're the strongest economy in Africa today, whatever level of insecurity that we're going through in this country is of global interest. Let's now come to the regional and the sub-regional level. Nigeria is a preponderant of economic, political, and military power. From my own perspective, I can tell you that what is going on in Nigeria now is making a lot of countries within the sub-region and within the region very uncomfortable. Very uncomfortable in the sense that if a tiny, almost sleepy town in Nigeria can occupy a global map and suddenly became focus of attention to the rest of the world, and the sub-region had been quiet over it over time, and then the media is giving it a lot of noise, I can bet that they are not sitting back and looking. Internally, as have been mentioned, the causes of our insecurity is not something that started yesterday. It dated back to even pre-independence. It even culminated into the Nigerian Civil War that we had. We came out of the Civil War, we went through military regimes, we are now under democracy. It seemed to me like, have we learned something about what we went through? Has our history actually made any sense to us? What are we doing? What is the collective effort that is being put in place? If I can share with you the Global Peace Index ranking in 2011 put Nigeria as one of the most unsafe country in the world. In 2012, it moved from 142nd position to 146th position. In 2013, this I haven't confirmed yet, I'm made to understand that it's even gone down to 152nd position in the world. What are we doing about this? What are we doing about this? Insecurity in this country has multiplier effect. It has multiplier effect. It affects every facet of our national life, economic life, social life, political life, name it.
The second international conference on democracy and good governance taking place in Port Harcourt. The theme is Nigeria's democracy, issues and challenges. We now take you to the Government House, Owerri, for the live coverage of the state of Imo State.